Hello all, this is Dennis Young with the Veterans Memorial Park and Digital Library. I am here with William Edward DeCapite. He is a World War II veteran, and it is just an honor today to be here with him. Sir, tell me a little bit about yourself and where you're from and everything.
Well, I was from Cleveland, Ohio, and I was in a class of February of 1943. I was the last class. There was a February class because at that time we had a February class and a June class. But I was done in February and I was 18, and Uncle Sam says, "I need you." And then I was went there, and they said that I need you in the Seabees. I didn't know what the Seabees were. He says that's part of the Navy. And the Seabees were just formed in 1942 because there was no Seabees in 1942. And they got 18-year-old punks like me. And then we had 35 to 47-year-olds, and maybe some that were even 50. And they started the Navy Seabees. And we got there. It went from Virginia on a train to Rhode Island, and in there I went to a diesel school. And from there we went to Northern California. And we climbed Mount Diablo because the Seabees, we had Marine training. We didn't have Navy training because they knew we were going to be on land. So we hiked up the top of Mount Diablo and bivouacked up. That was part of our training. And learning how to shoot all the different kind of guns was part of our training. The BAR, the regular rifle, machine guns, and we had to get that training like the Marines got as Seabees. And therefore went to Northern California, then went to Southern California, near Oxnard, California, and Port Hueneme, where the Seabees still have a base.
Okay.
In Port Hueneme, California. Got out of the ship, we stayed 2 weeks in Hawaii, then we got on the LST, and we went to the Marshall Islands, went to Kwajalein, and we built a seaplane base there, and we built quarters for the Air Force, the Navy Air Force, and the Marines. We were attached to the Marine Air Wing, and we made parachute lofts there. We made a seaplane base where we could. And the seaplanes did more reconnaissance that were there. And I was lucky enough to see my cousin while I was there because he was a meteorologist and went up in the seaplane. And after that, we went to the Tinian in the Mariana Islands. In the Mariana Islands was Guam, Sapan, and Tinian, which was part of our country at that time, like Puerto Rico. And they even get to vote there in the Mariana Islands. They vote for the president. And we built an airstrip for the Angola Gay and the B-29s. And we made it out of coral. We went into the sea, through the coral reef, what they would holler at us today for ruining the coral reef. And we laid down the coral, wet it 24/7, and they're still using it today because it grew back together. No cement, because there was no such thing. And we made it out of coral, and made roads out of coral, laid it down to like New York City, and made the streets and the whole island like New York City. Because that was
very interesting.
What we did. And I worked on equipment. I was working on heavy equipment, and this one fella from New York City said, "You're a little skinny runt, you come with me." And then I went and we did, I did the lubrication. And we lubricated all the equipment, and we had to grease it, to grease the trucks and the bulldozers and the cranes every night. And we did it every night from 5 to night and 5 in the morning. And to get all that salt water out of the bearings. And it was a messy job, but somebody had to do it, like you said, that to get enough grease and the salt water out and new grease in all the bearings.
Very interesting, sir. So where else was you at during World War II?
What's that?
Where else was you at World War II?
No, just there. I was in Kwajalein, Eniwetok in the Marshall Islands, and then Tinian on the Marianas for 3 years. And there was no R&R. We made our own R&R. In one of the islands, we made R&R for the shipmates. Any ship that was in dock, they could get ship crew to come ashore, and we had some beer for them and Coca-Cola that we had for them, and they could play basketball, tennis, and we made a theater, and guys that was an R&R because there was no such thing in World War II, and we did this for the sailors and the shipmates.
So how long, sir, were you in for?
Well, it was a little over 3 years.
That you were in the military total? Okay.
Then I went in February of 43, and I didn't get out till June of 46 because got discharged by age, not by how long I was in there. And I thought it was a good idea, but because we had the 35 and 45-year-olds, so they let them out first. So then I had to go back to California, till June when I got discharged.
Okay. All right. So, and then what did you do after the military then?
Well, I think I got drafted into Seabees because I did some training at a garage, and we worked on automobiles in 1940 and 41. And there was a lot of, in this garage, I had to learn the maintenance of cars, and we'd go down and get to the junkyard and get different parts to keep the cars going because there was no new cars. They needed a radio or a windshield, and they weren't making any new that stuff. We had to just go to the junkyard and get cars, and that's what I did. So I had that training before, so maybe that's why they put me in the Navy. I have no idea. But then I went back and I worked in the garage, and then I bought the garage and ran it for 5 years, and I turned 62 and retired.
Okay.
I said I did that over 40 years, and they were coming in with a new computer rising, and I would have had to spend $umpteen and go back to school. I says, I'm 62. I think I'll just go on Social Security. That's what I did.
Okay. So
I had a great life.
Your total years in the military, was that just 3 years then?
Yeah.
Okay. The rest of the time you spent doing cars. Very, very good. You did cars.
Yes.
After the military. Very, very good. Are you part of one of the posts? Are you part of one of the VFW posts?
Oh, yes.
Which post are you located with?
Well, I was in Solon, and then I went to South Euclid, and I go to Painesville.
Right.
In all 3 posts.
Right. Okay, sir. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It is an honor. Part of our job with the digital library that we're doing is putting veterans in a digital platform so that way people can see who they are and you can have family members now can go on to our sites and they can see your interview and see who you are, or just anybody can see what is going on with our veterans today.
Yeah, well, I volunteer a lot with Cleveland theaters downtown, and I help with the archives and got a lot of that stuff that we took to the library. Yeah, so,
Good, very good.
Some of their posters and that were down in, I say where the Phantom hang out, and all of the playbills. We sorted all those out and sent it to the library.
Very outstanding, sir.
So-
Okay, sir. Well, thank you so much for coming here today and doing this interview with us.
Okay.